In the world of Mirai Nikki, the ordinary becomes extraordinary as a bunch of people participate in a survival game to become the god of time and space, each armed with a diary that predicts their future. Among them are the two middle school students named Yuno and Yuki who decide to team up together to survive this brutal game. Beware, the contestants aren't your normal people, they're twisted and rotten to the core. Daisuke poisons Yuno and Yuki's food, but Yuno foils his plan by noticing something wrong with the tomato's weight. Meanwhile, Yuki's diary writes itself, mentioning how Daisuke and Yuno will take a shower together. Later at night, Daisuke messes up with the washing machine and adds salt inside the bathtub to make Yuno die from electrocution. On the other hand, Yuki's diary rewrites itself again, mentioning how Yuno will get electrocuted. While Yuno is about to take a bath, Daisuke joins her, but just when he attempts to electrocute Yuno, Yuki makes the breaker trip. Yuki starts suspecting Daisuke of having a diary. Yuki attempts to find his diary, but Yuno wants to kill him immediately. The next morning, Yuno chases Daisuke with a hammer to kill him, but ended up hitting Ria accidentally and knocking her out. Later, Yuno figures out that Daisuke has mailed his diary to himself. As the delivery guy arrives, Daisuke goes to him to get the package, but Yuki snatches it from him. At that moment, Yuno's diary shows that Yuki had been poisoned by a poisonous gas. That's exactly what happened, as the envelope emitted poisonous gas. Daisuke then offered Yuno to give her the antidote if she plays hide-and-seek with him and wins. Yuno agrees to play with him. While searching for Keisuke, Yuno ends up getting involved in his trap, and just when he is about to kill her, Yuki intervenes and protects Yuno, kissing her and giving her a resolve to kill Daisuke. Yuno then corners Daisuke and stabbed him to death. Before dying, Daisuke gives her the antidote, but before she can use the antidote, she collapses. Just then, Minene appears and saves them. She believes that Yuki should kill Yuno as soon as possible, as she is his biggest enemy. At a meeting led by Deuce for the diary holders, Karyudo Tsukishima, the 10th diary holder, wants to hand over his diary ownership. Meanwhile, 2 weeks have passed since the death of Daisuke. Yuno and Yuki transfer to the new school, and Yuki feels nervous. Yuno and Yuki ended up in different classes, and when Yuki goes to his class, he comes across Kosaka, who happened to be in his class as well. As Kosaka attempts to foil his reputation, he is stopped by Hinata, another girl in their class. As Hinata held out her hand for Yuki, he accidentally pulled off her pants. Mao, another girl, ended up taking his picture while in the act. Later, Yuki learns that a series of murderers have been terrorizing the area, and he, along with Yuno, Kosaka, Hinata, and Mao, go to the crime scene to check it out. As they're exploring the area, Hinata wanders off, and Yuki's diary predicts her being attacked. He rushes to the location along with others and discovers a mutilated corpse of Hinata before a pack of dogs. The group felt helpless, but just then, a boy named Akise, who happened to be their classmate, appeared. He takes the group to a nearby observation tower. On the other hand, it is revealed that the culprit behind the brutal murders is Karyudo, who had transferred his diary's ownership to the deadly dogs. Meanwhile, the group successfully arrives at the observation tower, leaving the dogs behind. Akise reveals that he already knows about Yuki and all the incidents that he had been involved in. However, he also mentions how he doesn't believe Yuki has done anything wrong. He then shows everyone the dogs that are waiting outside. Concluding that they're probably after Yuki, Akise tries his best to gain Yuki's trust, but Yuno doesn't trust anyone in the group. Meanwhile, the dogs were able to find their way inside, but the group held the windows together with the help of Yuki's diary. The dogs eventually give up and leave. When Yuki's diary is revealed, Mao takes it from him at knife point, handing it to Hinata, who is alive and well. She is revealed to be a diary owner. However, her main target was Akise's diary, who was also a diary holder. A week before this incident, Hinata's father, who happened to be Karyudo, transferred his diary's ownership to his daughter, with which she was able to control the dogs. Back in the present, Hinata reveals that he used Yuki because he was the perfect bait for Akise, as Akise was interested in him. Akise agreed to hand his diary over to Hinata, but only if she wins a bet. He flips a coin and hides it in one of his hands, asking Hinata which hand he hid the coin in. Despite using Yuki's diary, Hinata lost the game and had to release Yuki. Yuno realizes that Akise is just bluffing and doesn't have a diary. As he proposes another round, Yuno restricts Akise and checks his phone, finding out that he didn't have anything written on his memo. Akise starts laughing and mentions that he won the game just by pure luck. Annoyed, Yuno attempts to stab Akise, but he avoids her attack and moves on to the next round of the game. This time, Yuki's diary was on the line. In the next round, Akise is able to win again, realizing that Yuki's diary predicts what he perceives, and Hinata depends on Yuki's diary. In the meantime, Yuno has covered Yuki's ears, so he didn't know if Akise had won. He makes Yuki believe that he has lost. At that moment, Mao attempts to destroy Yuki's diary, but Yuno rushed in to stab her just in time. Yuki manages to get his diary back, and the group leaves the observation tower, leaving Hinata and Mao behind. Hinata then orders her dogs to search for the group and kill them. As our group is running away, Yuki mentions that he will go and talk to Hinata while the rest of them escape. Akise agrees with his plan and runs away with Kosaka, while Yuno accompanies Yuki. Yuno reaches Hinata before Yuki and threatens to kill her if she doesn't stop her dogs. Yuno had a killing intent towards Hinata because she felt jealous of her since Yuki wanted to be friends with her. Meanwhile, Akise and Kosaka arrived there as well. In order to save Hinata, Yuki decided to declare Yuno as his girlfriend in front of everyone, saving the day. After that, Karyudo contacts everyone via radio and explains to them that he mistook Akise as a diary holder. He also warns Yuki about Keigo before he eventually kills Karyudo. We see Yuno digging a deep hole, saying she needs to bury everything for Yuki. However, she pauses and wonders what she was actually trying to bury. Meanwhile, at an unnamed location, Miene is making bombs for Keigo. She was reminded of the time when she was fighting the third diary holder named Takao back then. As she was not able to hurt him in any way, she decided to jump off the building to escape. At that point, she comes across a detective named Masumi, who recognizes her and arrests her. In the meantime, Takao arrives there as well, and both Masumi and Miene had to take shelter in an abandoned house. There, they get close to each other and decide to work together against Takao. However, Takao was able to catch up to them, but they trapped him and successfully got rid of him. While escaping, Miene ended up shooting Masumi just so he could not put her behind bars. Back in the present, Akise had set up a date for Yuki and Yuno, and they both headed to the event where they could experience a mock wedding. At the event, Yuki and Yuno try on wedding dresses and look like a real couple getting married. After a photo shoot, Yuki panics because he doesn't mean it when he introduces Yuno as his girlfriend in front of everyone. He wanted to tell her the truth because Yuna was getting too serious about everything. After that, they move to the main event, which was the chapel wedding. After the event, they meet Keigo's wife, Naoko. Later, Yuki goes to Yuno's home to drop her off first since she was sleeping by the door of her house and was already open. As Yuki entered her house, he came across Akise, who showed Yuki a large hole in Yuno's garden. Yuki asked Yuno about the corpses she had kept in a room in her house. Yuno ignores his question as if she has no memory of it. After that, Yuki and Akise leave. Akise mentions how dangerous Yuno can be without Yuki. Meanwhile, Keigo frames Yuki and Yuno for Karyudo's murder and announces his plan to arrest them. Around 5 days ago, Keigo had approached Miene to make a deal with her. He told her that he wouldn't pursue her anymore and would make things easier for her, but in turn, she would have to do something for him. Back in the present, Yuki gets arrested in the streets and is brought to the police station. Yuno also arrives there. Yuki was called in by Keigo inside, but Yuna wanted to go first since she had a killing intent. Yuki stopped her and headed inside the investigation room first. There, Keigo told him that when Karyudo was killed, he got a tip from someone that Yuno and Yukiteru were present around the area. However, he quickly mentioned that it was a bluff and showed Yuki his diary, showing that there was no investigation found. Keigo told Yuki that was free to go. He then suggested that they should play a game of Russian roulette before he leaves. Meanwhile, Yuno gets informed of Karyudo's tricks through her diary and decides to help him out. Back to Keigo, he mentioned to Yuki how his investigation diary is useless as compared to Yuki's random diary. Keigo's diary is only triggered when a case comes up. If he kills Yuki right then and there, he will have a case. However, he will get himself arrested like that, so he can't really kill him because he was not a guilty suspect. There was a last chamber left in Keigo's gun, and just when he's about to shoot Yuki, Yuno breaks into the room and attacks Keigo, making him injured. Both Yuki and Yuno escape the scene. Luckily, Keigo had been wearing a protective vest and lost only one of his ears after getting shot. Meanwhile, Yuno had held Masumi hostage to guide them out of the police station. Yuki ended up attacking a policeman while running away. Yuki and Yuno's crimes ended up appearing in Keigo's diary, and this was his plan all along. Both Yuki and Yuno head to the roof, and with nowhere to run to anymore, they jump off the building. Luckily, a truck was standing right behind them, and they landed on its tarp. The next day, Yuki and Yuno are hiding from the police when they see Naoko visiting the hospital. When they follow her, they are suddenly attacked by Miene, who explodes a part of the floor. On the other hand, Yuki accidentally caused the floor to collapse even more. Miene ends up forming an alliance with Yuki for Yuno to pull them both safely. She then takes both Yuki and Yuno to a room where Keigo's terminally ill son and Naoko are present. She tells them that they were the reason why Keigo had to betray them. The police had surrounded the hospital since Yuno and Yuki were inside. Meanwhile, Miene takes Naoko and her son hostage since she plans on negotiating with Keigo. She tells Yuki that while she is negotiating, he must scout the hospital and Yuno must keep an eye on the hostages. When Miene contacts Keigo to negotiate, he flat out refuses, mentioning how he wants to become a god by winning the game. Meanwhile, Yuki gets captured by the police inside the hospital and wonders if the negotiation between Miene and Keigo failed. He was sure that if Keigo appeared, he would kill him instantly. Meanwhile, when Keigo learns that his men have taken hold of Yuki, he decides to head inside. Masumi tries to stop him as he was going inside without permission, but Keigo told him to report back to his station immediately in a stern tone. As Keigo appears there to kill Yuki, Yuno arrives just in time and knocks out the policemen around him. Keigo gets a hold of Yuki while Yuno threatens to use a bomb. Meanwhile, Miene sets another bomb nearby and escapes the building, only to run to Masumi. On the other hand, Keigo tries to convince Yuno to throw the bomb away by letting Yuki go. However, Yuno still sets off the bomb since she is willing to even get herself killed while protecting Yuki. However, it was only a flash grenade. Meanwhile, the bomb that Miene planted also exploded. She had planted it on the 4th floor and was relieved that she ran into Masumi as she saw a way out of that dead end. She then decided to head inside the hospital with Masumi. Luckily, Yuki and Yuno survived the explosion. Yuki regains consciousness only to find Keigo alive as well. Yuki threatened to shoot him, but he was using Yuno as a shield. Yuki's diary told him that if he shot, Yuno would die. However, he still doesn't give up and fires his gun. Somehow, the future changes and the bullet hits Keigo instead of Yuno. Just then, Miene arrives at the scene with Masumi, and he arrests Keigo. He ended up getting his diary nullified and was now a criminal. He asked about his wife and son, and Masumi informed him that they were rescued before the explosion. Keigo then asks Miene to keep taking care of his son. He also apologizes to Yuki before breaking his diary and removing himself from existence. After that incident, the case was handled by Masumi, and both Yuki and Yunon were kept out of the whole scenario. A few days later, Yuki and Yuno decided to go on a date. While Yuki leaves for the bathroom, Yuno gets a hold of his phone, and it has a message from Akise warning him about Yuno and how the police are chasing after her. Yuno gets annoyed to see the message and deletes it. What do you think of the story? Let's talk about it in the comments section below. As always, a like, subscribe, and comment will be much appreciated. And with that said, we'll see you guys in our next recap, and make sure you give us a heads up if you want us to do a part 3.